Peace on earth, goodwill towards men. Now, these are phrases we've grown up with and had around us as long as we can remember. And this is about the time of year we pull them out and we dust them off. Spread them around. Would it be surprising to know that there was an actual documented historical event in which these two phrases took over the situation and stopped a very bad thing from happening just for a day or two and started a very good thing happening just for a day or two? We all live in a world where authority figures tell us what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and we do things as trivial as going to work and as serious as going to war based on what our authority figures tell us is the best thing to do for the given situation. Once upon a time, about 90 plus years ago, actually in the winter of 1914, there was this little thing going on called World War I, primarily involving Germany against the rest of the world. There was a location called Flanders Field in which English troops and German troops were heavily engaged in fighting to the death. Christmas time began to draw near. There was a lot more emphasis on a spiritual level, not necessarily related to the birth of Christ exclusively as much as with the positive feelings for mankind in general at this time of year. So here we had a situation in which German troops, and in World War I, high-tech weapons were still yet to grace the battlefield. So one of the main functions or tools of a war was to dig trenches. Your side, my side. My side points their rifles at your side points their rifles at my side, and we shoot at each other until we kill as many people as possible. This was a pretty good description of what was going on at Flanders Field on the Christmas Eve of 1914. The generals, quote unquote, of both sides, the English and the Germans, were pretty far removed from the trench warfare. They were up in their tents and their bunkers and far from the action. Men being men, privates being privates, sergeants being sergeants, corporals being corporals. As Christmas Eve became closer and closer, drew nearer and nearer, men on each side started singing Christmas carols and that type of thing to themselves. Now, this was rifle warfare, so their trenches had to be close enough that they could actually hit each other, which meant they could be close enough to actually hear each other. And as one side sang Christmas carols, while the other side sang Christmas carols. Now, a very strange event occurred as Christmas Eve 1914 rolled around in Flanders Field. And as I tell you this tale, and you doubt its authenticity, this being the age of the web, go to Snopes.com and search Christmas Eve Truce World War I, and you'll find that they agree that this is in fact a true story. And as a matter of fact, Stanley Weintraub wrote a book called Silent Night, play on the word silent, that is based on this event. In short, the fighting soldiers on both the German and the English side in Flanders on Christmas Eve decided to stop fighting for a couple of days and celebrate Christmas together. To make a very long story very short, basically what happened was they began communicating with each other after they decided if they're singing Christmas carols and they're singing Christmas carols, it can't be all bad. And they came to the conclusion that, well, let's just stop fighting for a couple days so Christmas is over. They visited at each other's sides, cooked meals for each other, exchanged what little presents they had, gave each other haircuts, played a game of football, and exchanged pleasantries, which drove their commanding officers absolutely insane, and both sides, German and English, demanded that they get back to shooting each other right now. Simply put, they ignored the generals on both sides and just celebrated Christmas together. When their celebration was over, they dutifully returned to their trenches and started shooting at each other again. But for 2, maybe 3 days in the height of World War I, the foot soldiers just said, nah, and stopped. They knew they didn't have the power to make the war go away, but they decided they did have the power to make it stop for a little bit. Now, in this day and age that we live in, we are not necessarily fighting in trenches, shooting at each other, not with real bullets anyway. Maybe we're using verbal bullets and mental bullets and economic bullets. But you know what? The proof is in the pudding, ladies and gentlemen. Man does have the ability, if he and she wants to just knock all the crazy crapola off and get along with each other. Now, 95 plus years ago, I guess it was about 94 years ago, the soldiers did it for a few days and went back to fighting, and history kind of absorbed this miraculous tale, and every once in a while it pops up, but it is true, and it did happen. So what would happen if we, here in the future, soon to be the past, decided that we're sick and tired of all this baloney and tried getting along with each other? We'll start with 2 or 3 days and see where it goes from there. Merry Christmas. That is today's ho 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 on an old idea.
May I inquire, Mr. Cratchit, what you're doing with that shovel full of coal?
Why, I beg your pardon, sir, but the outer office is intensely cold, and my fire...
Your fire?
I should have said your fire, sir.
Yes, sir.
It shows symptoms of going out, and I thought I might venture to replenish it with a small quantity of coal.
Yeah. Well, of course, it's very evident to me, Mr. Cratchit, that you and I left apart. Oh, I see no help for it, sir. You don't pay for the coal, so you can afford to be reckless. Therefore, very evident to me, sir, that my interest is not your interest, nor my welfare your welfare. Get on with your work, sir.